it's good to have a friend in a time of need, and this is a time of need for this organization. Welcome back, Jack.
Thank you. Yeah, I want to say a few things. Nice to see all you guys again. I didn't know I could bring out such a big crowd. But anyway, it's great to be back. I had a little siesta for a few years. That's been my MO for years, is work 3 or 4 and then take 2 or 3 off. But anyway, it's, when the people called and asked me to come back, and they've been so good to me and so loyal to me during my stay here, I just couldn't turn them down. And I think you got a club. They showed us early in the year that this club can win. And now we've run into some tough times, and we just got to, kick them butt and get them a little more aggressive and play the game the right way. And I'm very confident that there's enough talent in that room to maybe, and if we can get things right, play in October.
Questions? Jack, when you were introduced in May of '03 to become manager, you said you're not a miracle worker. Team won the World Series, obviously.
Well, I'm not a miracle worker this year either, but I just hope some of that magic can stay with us.
Jack, what do you see that this team needs to do to turn it around?
We need to have some fun. I see this club as a club that's pressing a little bit. They're not having fun. I want them to come out and enjoy coming to the ballpark. When they leave the ballpark and they can bust their tails and give 100%, they can hold their head high, regardless of what you guys or anybody else says. They can walk out of that clubhouse knowing I gave my best shot. And that's all I want of these guys, is give me the best shot. There's a lot of talent here, and we just got to develop it.
Jack, when you left in '05, did you think in your mind that was it as a manager, that you would never have an opportunity like this again?
I don't know. Sometimes you get frustrated and wore out. And I've always liked to manage, and even after I laid out a year and a half or 2 years, then I started missing. But I was comfortable doing what I was doing.
Jack, it's a historic drop that this team is in the middle of right now. How does that happen? How does it happen? Such a historic drop that this team is in right now? From all the years of baseball.
Why are we so bad right now?
I didn't want to hear that question.
No, how do you go from so good, in a sense, to so bad?
Well, every club goes through streaks, and this is probably a little bit longer than we all wanted to see, but clubs could, you go back to 2003, and as I want to tell these guys later on, you got to remember about this time of the year, we were 10 games under 500 as well. And they all put together, and that club there was one of the most unselfish clubs that I've ever managed, and I hope I can get these guys to respond the same way and play unselfish baseball, doing the little things and knowing how to win.
What was the first thing you did, if you can remember, what was the first thing you did in 2003 when you met with the team?
Well, the first thing I did is tell them to leave their egos at the door, and let's change our work habits and be a little more dedicated to being the best of the profession. And it worked.
Jack, people around the country will see this news. Jack McKeon, 80 years old, takes over Marlins, and someone will say, that's crazy.
Well, they probably said the same thing about Joe Paterno, and he's going at 85. I look at it this way: why should experience get penalized? I mean, 80 doesn't mean a thing. I'm not 80. My birth certificate says that. But hey, you enjoy what you're doing, love it, good health, capable of going out and doing the job, I'm all for it. Why should it penalize us?
Do you have to make any concessions at all to age doing this job now, at this age? Were you any differently than you would when you were, say, 50?
No, don't forget, you guys got to remember, we all sat in this room and said that in 2003 I was too old. Now I'm still too old. So, but age is just a number. And I'm rooting for Paterno to go to 90. Maybe I can catch him.
Jack, in terms of a big problem here has been runners in scoring positions, the lack of hitting in those situations. In terms of improving that, Will you call it all stops? Will you bench starters if necessary? Will you shuffle lineups? What will you do to improve that hitting with runners in scoring position?
Well, first of all, I'm going to discuss that with them later on. You know, I don't have a bat in my hand. I can't, you know, when the guys are at the plate, they're on their own as a pitcher and that hitter. I just hope that they realize how important it is to do the little things to win ball games, and that's the thing I got to impress upon them.
Jack, you've been around this team a lot, even though you've been gone, you've still been around them. Does this team need an attitude adjustment? Is there something about the attitude, the way they're playing, that they've hit this slump?
No, I don't know. Like I said, I haven't been that close to them, but I know that sometimes when you get, you know, into a losing streak, it becomes contagious, and you get a little bit frustrated, and you start playing outside yourself. We want these guys to start playing back within themselves.
Jack, have you been around Hanley Ramirez enough to know maybe what you can do to help him get back to where he used to be?
Well, I've had a pretty good relationship with him, but not you know, not on a manager-player relationship and that sort. It's going to take some time. I need to get to know him a little bit better.
Have you seen anything from him this year, just from observing from the outside, that you think he's doing differently, that you can help him get back to where he
No, it's hard to say. You know, I can't pinpoint anything right now.
Jack, who did you talk to around the game? Anybody around the game in the last day or so when you had to think about this in terms of should I do it or not? Did anybody say, you know, maybe you should think twice?
No, not really. The last time, you know, my family and kids were against it, but I guess they see me around the house watching television, you know, 12, 15 hours a day watching ball games, and they kind of were in agreement, go ahead. My wife probably was happy to get me out of the house. Where's my buddy, my dog, though? That's the only one I mentioned.
Back here in the back, this is also from Larry too. What's the goal from here on out? Is it playoffs? Is it back to 500? Is it improvement? What's the goal, the overriding goal for the rest of this season?
Well, you know, as anybody would say, you come into the season wanting to get the playoffs. That's the #1 goal. And of course, in order to get to the playoffs, you got to get to 500. And if I recall, going back to 2003, that was one thing I preached all along. Guys, let's get back to 500. When we get back to 500, we'll roll. And exactly that happened. But, hopefully, that you know, the same message will happen again, and we can have some fun again.
Larry, as the architect of this club, how much responsibility should be placed on the front office for what's happened in the last 3 or 4 weeks?
Well, I feel 80 years old, Josh, in the last 3 weeks, excuse me. I think we all share responsibility. I said it yesterday that it's everybody, it's the whole organization. I know this has been very tough on Jeffrey. Speaking with him, this sudden turnaround by the club in the wrong direction. And then obviously with the manager departing, it was tough on him. He had a very good relationship with Edwin, and it came unexpected. So you put all those things together, Josh, I think the bottom line for me is it's everyone. And unfortunately, Edwin decided to step away. But it's the office, it's the players, it's the coaches, it's everyone. We're all in this. And I think everybody needs to look in the mirror. When you've lost the number of games that we've lost over the last 3 weeks, everybody needs to evaluate and take responsibility. And the higher up you go in the organization, the more responsible you get. So, you know, we're looking at everything. We're looking at the personnel. We've tried some minor tweaks here the last week. We'll start to work with Jack a little more intimately now that he's in the clubhouse and in the dugout on some other changes that we can maybe contemplate as we get closer to the trade deadline, et cetera. But we want to find a way out of it, and we feel very responsible.